Let's go to the last of these words. It is open field. Okay, they can hide anything and everything around here. I will skirt like the borders to see if I can jump into one of the other puzzles from here. Uh-huh. I mean, that's like between the puzzles, that is like part of the one puzzle where I saw a thing at the end of that one over there. So let's see if we can enter it from here. No, we can't. Oh, the open field is the whole surrounding of the whole arena. Okay. We have to look very closely because they could have hidden here a lot. Wow. They did really think outside the box here in some places. Wow. That's such a big outside area too. I hope they don't do it with all 4 words. It's just so much to explore here. So let's look at this building here. Nothing. Nothing. Let's look inside. We need a blue laser beam here. It did want to put me up there. Yes. You can just jump inside. Okay. Got a blue laser beam to propel us to someplace. Interesting. We need a blue laser beam here? How that? Okay. It's very weird. This open field is so strange idea-wise. Okay. I don't know where to start to look for things. Okay, here's imprisoned. Which is blocked by a red beam receptacle. So we need a red beam. Okay. And it's just like enclosed, so we can't get there. So we have to either get above the fence with a red beam or around the fence. Okay, then we have this whole section here. Also this, okay. There is something also with a red beam. God, there's so much to do here. Next to the door we have, freedom is always the freedom of the dissenter. Luxembourg. Okay. Okay, nothing more to see here. And let's look at this. I mean, we saw that with the thing and with this thing. Oh, we can juggle something up in the middle there. I think that's what we're supposed to do. We need blue for to get a connector, and we have red and blue lights here with one connector. So I think we want to get blue to that place. My God, there's so much to do here. We want a connector here. We also want a box. I haven't seen a box yet. Let's search for a box. We need a box to do like if we want a controller to jump between 2 things. We need a box for that. So if we want to jump, have a jump between these, we want We want a box. But we don't get one. Okay. Ah, here it is. We need red to arrive over here. This is a big puzzle. They're thinking big now. Let's try to put it through here. Oh, fast speed still isn't enough for the big areas of this game, man. Okay, and we get one box, which surely isn't enough for that. Okay, we want blue for that. Okay. Red for that. No, that's not the right one. Alright. Choose you. And you. And you. Connect you here. And then we must hope that we can get the blue beam through the blue side of the... Yeah, we can. Easily. Okay. And it's bouncing on top of there. Okay. And I think we have to do the same thing with the blue one over there. Which will get us one of the stars. But let's first free him here. And you, my friend, are? Sam! Sam must be one of the earliest copies. Because the creators of this game made, I think, Serious Sam it was called? Ah, Sam was making art. Okay. New threads. Okay, nobody answered to my thread. We have more answers to the gallery season. Voting is now closed while we tally up the results. Of course, you may continue to explore the gallery at your leisure. How convenient. The vote was closed just before I got here, says Rockville. Kaiju says, good luck everyone. I wouldn't let my newfound freedom come between me and watching the live result. Lilith says the results are in. Knave drums. Lilith in the third place. Rockwell with existence. God damn it. Finally, the conspiracy works in my favor. Lilith says there was a very tight competition this season for first and second place, and in the end it came down to a single deciding vote. In second place this season is Mr. Malkaba with a collection of natural history curios. Mr. Malkaba says, really all to you guys. Who won? Your lackadaisical approach to these announcements tires me. Please inform us who won. Okay. Finally, first place this season by a single vote, and next season's leading light. The winner is everyone seems to love this guy. It's the Blacksmith 8 with his abstract collection. Doc says, I don't know why everyone keeps voting for this guy when he never shows up in person. Bit holier than thou, if you ask me. Congratulations also for all of those who voted for the Blacksmith. Be sure to check in for your rewards. Lilith, who exactly turned the vote. Lilith said Lamp had the deciding vote as it happened. I gained no preface status. Yeah, should have voted for Mr. Michael, but I really like the animals. But existence did reach some. It was art and it worked. Okay. Theories on food. Since Nave asked in a previous thread, in the last one, I thought I'd read something about food. On food. Oh my god, what will you say about food? Food is something that was incredibly central to the human experience, yet seems completely absent from ours, even though we are so similar in so many ways. Humans required fuel. They got this fuel by consuming other living beings, of which there was a great variety in their world. Without fuel, they didn't merely slow down or temporarily stop functioning, as when a power source is removed from a turret, but physically decayed in a way that could not be fixed. This meant they had to constantly seek new sources of fuel at least 3 times a day. They also had to deal with those elements of their fuel that their bodies could not process. These were excreted through 2 orifices between their legs. The latter subject matter was the source of many taboos and also a great deal of humor, though this resulted in frequent controversy. The most famous artist to engage with this subject matter was called Scatman John on account of his specialization. One of the ingenious things about our human ancestors did was to transform the core of fuel seeking into a source of pleasure. Since parts of their bodies respond to chemical configurations by producing sensations, they used this trait to create a truly stunning variety of foods, each having a different so-called taste. Foods were available at widely distributed fueling stations, which also provided excrement removal facilities, so food became a source of pleasure. However, the inefficiencies of food distribution in human society frequently led to significant shortages for sections of the human population. There were attempts to rectify this, ranging from moral appeals to struggles for systemic change, but I do not know if they succeeded before the end. Yeah, they didn't. I'm sure about that. Weird, awesome stuff. Thanks, says Kaiju. Nave says, I feel smarter now. Doc says, what I don't get is how so many of them didn't understand that they were machines. Every day they went around processing matter to extract energy and they didn't realize? This has Talos Principle stamped all over it. Borg says, perhaps they simply aspire to something more than just being food processing machines. Doc says, that's still what they were. Borg says, not if they chose to be more. Lamp says, I'm glad we don't have to deal with all that. Garrett says, we may have to when we get out of here. Belial says, there is no out of here. Orc says, don't start fighting, folks, you know we depend on each other. Mr. Malcolm's theories are fascinating and give us an insight into the world that was, but we shouldn't forget the world that is. The world we built here. And we got Incredible Stories 5. I have to drink a sip before that. Oh, Incredible Stories 5, featuring new works by Belial, Meg, Galatea, and Mr. Malkaba. I always want to see Meg. Mr. Malkaba. Edited by Lilith and Meg. That's the reason. I first read the name Meg and shortly after Mr. Malkaba, so I'm always thinking Meg Malkaba. Fiction is Alexandra's Choice by Galatea and One Spiritual Law of Happiness by Belial. And non-fiction is The Blacksmith's Lost Work by Meg. Alexandra's Choice. Alexandra stood before the terminal and pondered her choices. Here, within the pyramid of iron, the most powerful temple of her people, she was about to create a world. All she had to do was press one button. Up until this moment, it had seemed easy, or if not easy, then so necessary as to defy contemplation. Civilization had to be saved from the impending catastrophe. The orangutans had failed to take steps to protect themselves, had relied on their gods for a salvation that never came. The same fate could not be allowed to befall humanity. If this meant humbling herself, accepting her own death, then so be it. But death was inevitable. Life was a choice. What? Death was inevitable. Life was a choice. What? That sentence makes no sense. What worried her was the ones who would fail, all the lost souls of the new world, victims of the process. In creating them, was she not also responsible for their deaths? She turned to the statue behind her, gazed at its marble form. If you are a god Zeus, as the stories claim, then why did you create evolution? Why did you make a world that can only grow through cruelty and pain? For a moment, surely this meant death was near. She thought she heard him answer, "My child, I was shaped by the gods that came before me, as you were shaped by me. The choice I had was between creation and oblivion, life and death, and I chose life. I chose life, because any life is better than no life, because as long as there is life, there is hope, if not for us, then for some generations to come. Then how are you a god if you can offer so little?" she whispered, feeling death creep closer. "I am a god because I take upon myself the burden of creation," the statue replied. "Then we are all gods," Alexandra said, and pushed the button. As the new world came into being, death overwhelmed Alexandra Drennan. Her mind fled and her body slowly turned to stone, until she stood before the terminal as Zeus stood on his pedestal. There were no more choices now, only the hope that creation mattered. Yeah. The One Spiritual Law of Happiness by Belial. Once upon a time there was a small lake, and on the lake was an island. On the island was a prison. In the prison lived this male human called Musky Rag. Musky was very sad because there wasn't enough space in the prison for him to experience happiness. "I must discover the one spiritual law of happiness," he said to the other prisoners. A female human called Zine and a neutral human called Krumpier. But they didn't care, so he couldn't understand how they could be so calm. One day, Musky managed to break out of his cell by biting through the bars. Now he was no longer in the prison, and for a while he was happy. But then he realized he was stuck on the little island, and he became unhappy again. So he gathered his strength and swam across the water. This is how Musky got to the valley that surrounded the lake. The valley was much bigger than the island, and there were many interesting things here. A forest where all the trees were the color of lasers, a swamp with boats in it, a singing dog, and also a city where toasters lived. For some years Musky was absorbed by all this, and he was happy, but then he started feeling trapped again. The valley was surrounded by mountains, and soon they looked like prison walls to him. He tried climbing the mountains and came to a bigger country, but even that was surrounded by oceans. Where was true freedom? Where was true happiness? When he had almost lost hope, Musky met an old male human with a huge amount of white hair growing from his head. He lived in a small house by the beach where dolphins and whales and sea elephants came to bask in the sun. He never went anywhere far from his house, but he was always happy. The old man's name was Quantum. Why sought Quantum? "How can I discover the spiritual law of happiness?" Musky said. "I have searched for it everywhere, but I am always trapped." "You have not looked everywhere," Quantum said, "for you have not looked within. Close your eyes." Musky closed his eyes, and for the first time in his life he couldn't see any obstacles. No walls, no mountains, no oceans. The space within him was without end, and he could go wherever he wanted without even moving. He smiled. Musky went back to that old prison where he had started, and now he understood why Zine and Krumpier were always calm. They knew they had an infinity of time and space to explore within them. Together, they sat in their cells and were happy and free. And we are reading The Blacksmith's Lost Work by Meg. Blacksmith is one of the most mysterious members of our community. All of us have our opinions, of course, but only the blacksmith chooses to express them purely through art. To the rest of us, Gehenna means many things at once. We create, we consume, we discuss, but the blacksmith only creates. Or perhaps there's a discussion happening, but it all takes place in the realm of interactive art. The blacksmith's dedication to this one form of communication, however, only deepens one of Gehenna's great mysteries, the fate of the blacksmith's lost work. Jerusalem, as the lost work was called, was posted in Gehenna for only the briefest period of time. Many had not even managed to start playing it when it vanished. Some had begun, felt quite impressed, but had not managed to explore it in the depths that it seemed to require. Then suddenly it was gone. Some suggest that the blacksmith deleted it because it was somehow flawed. Others think it was accidentally destroyed by a glitch, but that the blacksmith refuses to ever upload anything twice. Others yet, well, mainly Rockwell, think that it contained one of Elohim's secrets and was destroyed by a killer app that roams the world looking for leaks. There's also a theory that the moment of someone finished it, they were granted some kind of special insight, at which point the work deleted itself. One fact remains, it's gone, and every attempt to recover it from the database has failed, as has every private message to the blacksmith asking for it to be made available again. What was Jerusalem? What was it really about? We may look for hints in the blacksmith's more recent works. We may hope the fire turns up again someday, but the truth may never be known. That was a lot. I'm level 5, am I? Yeah, there it is. Level 5. Okay, we're still not enough for the historic occasion. Wow, that was a lot. A lot.